Hi, this is Kate, Teen Services Librarian at the Brighton District Library.
And this is Lori, Youth Services Librarian at the Brighton District Library.
For this month's DIY to go, we have Shrinky Dink keychains, like these little guys here.
You can pick up your DIY kit starting Monday, March 8th at the youth desk, or you can schedule a curbside pickup, but make sure you pick it up while supplies last.
All right, so stay tuned. We will give you a list of the supplies you're going to need at home, as well as what is in your kit and instructions on how to do this craft. All right, enjoy.
First up, let's talk about what's in your kit. You're going to have 2 sheets of Shrinky Dink paper. They're going to look like this. They'll have a hole punch in them. You also are going to have 2 keychains that look like that. And then you'll have some templates. That's all that's going to be in the kit. This is a sample keychain that I did earlier. Let's see if we can get him focused in there. So that's what they will look, the paper is going to look like after you put it in the oven. It's going to go from that to this. All right, let's talk about supplies you're going to need at home. So you'll need some colored pencil. Doesn't have to be brand name, but just colored pencils. And you're going to need some scissors. You will also need access to an oven, or you could use a toaster oven and a sheet pan to put your designs on to put in the oven. But that's about it. So here are my templates from earlier, one I'm going to use, and then you've got the little Among Us guy who I did for my sample. So what you're going to see, you'll notice this little Shrinky Dink guy, he has shrunk from the original template. And this is the size difference you're kind of going to be looking at here. Is think about 50% of the size of whatever you draw is the size they're going to come out as. So I'm going to put my Shrinky Dink paper over my template. And I'm going to get my colored pencils ready. Oh, just to note, when you're doing this, there are 2 sides to the Shrinky Dink paper. There's one that feels really smooth and shiny, and the other that has a slate texture. You're going to draw on the side that has more of the softer textured size, not the slick, shiny side. Just note, so put that down over your drawing, and then I'm just going to grab my colored pencils and trace over this. Once I have the line art trace, I can lift this up off the paper and move it over the side, and I can kind of get an idea of what it looks like and make sure I got all my lines right. Now I'm going to take some colored pencils and go in and color them. Something to keep in mind when you're doing this, when he goes in the oven, all of these colors are going to get darker. So don't worry if it's really light. Just know that the color you put down is not going to be exact to what it will look like when he's done. So I'm going to color in his eyes. I'm going to put a little pink on the nose, which is kind of hard to tell from this angle. I'm going to darken up some of these lines because they seem really light to me. So I'm just going to thicken those up a bit. And then let's see, what color should I make my bunny? I think I'm going to go with purple because why not? He's my bunny and he doesn't have to be realistic. So I'm just going to start coloring this in. And so get designing and coloring, and let's speed this up so we can get to the baking part of it. Now that your design is ready, you're going to grab your scissors and we're going to cut our design out. So what you're going to do is you just can cut him out. You don't have to do him right to the edge if you don't want to. I'm going to cut fairly close and just kind of around my design to the line. So we'll just cut him out here. The one thing you want to make sure you want to do is you have to think about that little hole punch that's there, because that's going to be where your keychain is going to go through. So you want to make sure you don't cut that off. If you happen to have a hole punch at home, you could decide to place your hole punch somewhere else. So you could do your design and then put the hole punch in there. We have pre-punched all of these because we're just not going to assume that everybody has access to a hole punch at home. All right, now that we've got them all cut out, let's get these little guys into the oven. So you are going to want to set your oven for 325 degrees. You'll want to wait until it's preheated, and then we're going to put them in for 1 to 3 minutes. Mine took the full 3 minutes. You can check your oven at 2 if you like. If you do take a peek, you might notice the edges curling. Don't worry, they'll flatten out by the end. So I'm putting mine on a baking sheet with some parchment paper underneath. You don't have to use the parchment paper, but I think it makes it easier to lift him off and move him around. Okay, into the oven we go. All right, so now I take him out of the oven, and I have let him cool for a few minutes, so he is cool to the touch. And you can see the size difference here. He is much smaller. Like, look how cute that little bunny is, even when he's angry. So you can see here, I've got him. He's much smaller. The color is darker. He's a little bit lighter when I flip him over to the side that I drew initially, so when I traced it. And you can see, like, okay, look, it looks like a plastic now as opposed to a paper like it did before. So if you are happy with your design, now let's attach the keychain part to him. So this is pretty easy. So we'll set him down, and then we're going to grab our keychain. Looks like this. So we prepped these a little bit for you, and you're just going to go to that end loop, and you should find a little opening, and these are light enough that you can just use your fingers in opposite directions on either side of that little opening, and it should just pop open for you. There we go. So once you have that open, you can grab your keychain, find your loop, and just slide it on through. And then you're going to press the two ends back together. Now, if for some reason, you should be able to do that all with your fingers. If it's too hard for you and you can't get them to come together, you can grab a pair of pliers and pry it, or if you want to get a different keychain end or something like that, that's a little tougher, you can do it that way. But there we go. There is your Shrinky Dink keychain. We hope you enjoyed, and you will join us next month in our next craft. I believe we are going to be doing no-sew sock bunnies. All right, have fun, and please share with us your creations. Go ahead and send us photos and tag us on our Facebook or Instagram. We would love to see what you come up with.